We can all agree that politicians are the worst. They lie and cheat and steal, and every move they make is calculated and self-serving. But every once in a while, they get something right. Like last week when a Senate committee unanimously passed the Road to Housing Act, which is the most significant housing bill in over 10 years, which is going to create more affordable housing. In this video, I'm breaking down the key provisions that could directly impact your wallet, from streamlined approvals to deregulation to new loan programs. After watching this, you'll know exactly how this bill could help you get into home ownership faster and cheaper than ever before. My name is Bishoy Habib, and I'm the realest real estate attorney you know. Over the past 13 years, I've closed over 1,000 transactions totaling $12 billion. But you don't have to be a lawyer to know that housing is way too expensive in America today. First of all, can we all applaud both parties for finally putting politics aside and prioritizing the American people? To me, that says more about how dire the affordable housing crisis is than how great the politicians are. But I'm not going to ruin the moment. It was impressive to see that this bill got unanimous bipartisan support. So let's talk about the bill. It's called the Renewing Opportunity in the American Dream to Housing Act, or Road to Housing Act, and it's massive. It has 4 main sections covering everything from financial literacy to manufactured housing. Let me break down what actually matters to you. First up, they're tackling the appraisal shortage that's been driving everyone crazy. Right now, if you need an FHA loan, you're stuck waiting weeks for a certified appraiser. This bill allows both licensed and credentialed appraisers to do FHA appraisals. More appraisals means faster closings and lower costs. I had a deal recently where closing got delayed 3 weeks because we couldn't find an FHA appraiser. 3 weeks. That's the mortgage rate risk, storage cost, and pure stress. This change could eliminate that completely. Next, they're addressing small dollar mortgages. Here's something most people don't realize. It can be harder to get a $50,000 mortgage than a $500,000 mortgage. Why? Because the fees and regulations make small loans unprofitable for lenders. This bill requires the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, to study these barriers and gives them authority to change the rules. What that means in plain English: buying a starter home or an investment property might become more streamlined. Here's an interesting change. They're completely redefining manufactured housing. Used to be only homes built on permanent chassis counted. Now they're including modular and prefabricated units, which is huge for affordable housing because a modular home can be built in a factory for half the cost of traditional construction. But financing has been a nightmare because of outdated definitions. This bill fixes that. They're also streamlining environmental reviews that have been killing housing projects. Right now, building a small infill project can take years of environmental review. This bill might right-size those reviews for smaller developments. I've seen perfectly good projects die because the environmental review is prohibitively expensive, and this bill addresses that. Now, the most fascinating change, in my opinion, is that they're creating pattern books, that's their term, for housing designs. So what that means is they are pre-approved plans that communities can use to fast-track construction. Instead of reinventing the wheel for every project, a builder can use proven designs and get approvals faster. Sure, it's less creativity, but it's far more efficient. And I get it. At this point, we don't need to be cute, we just need more housing. And so the way this would work is that there would be a set of pre-approved designs, and a builder would pick one and say, we're going to use, template B. And then they're already approved, right? You don't have to send it and submit it and wait for months and go back and forth. You can just start building. I get why that's very appealing in this day and age, especially when we need affordable houses. So creativity might go down, but right now we need efficiency and we need housing. Creativity is not the biggest issue we're facing. So this bill also creates an innovation fund for communities that are actually building housing. So it's like a reward system. When you build more homes, you get more federal money for infrastructure and development. Now let's talk about what this means for you. If you're a first-time home buyer, the appraisal changes alone could save you weeks and hundreds of dollars, and the small dollar mortgage reforms could make getting that starter home actually possible. If you're an investor, the manufactured housing changes open up a whole new category of affordable properties, and the streamlined reviews mean development projects will move faster and cost less. But here's what I really love about this bill. It's not just throwing money at the problem, it's actually removing barriers that the government created in the first place. Take the environmental reviews. Nobody wants to hurt the environment, but requiring a 2-year environmental impact study for a 4-unit infill project does not make sense. Or the appraiser shortage. Why shouldn't we authorize certified appraisers as well? The government created licensing requirements so strict that we just don't have enough appraisers, and then they wonder why closings are taking forever and deals aren't getting closed. This bill actually fixes the underlying problems instead of just adding more programs. Now, will this resolve the housing crisis overnight? Nothing will. But it's the first serious bipartisan effort that I've seen that addresses real barriers instead of just talking points. The fact that it got unanimous committee approval is very telling because that almost never happens in 2025. It means there is real pressure from the American people like you and me to do something about housing costs. Now, it's important to note that this bill still needs to pass full Senate and House, but with this kind of bipartisan support, I don't see any issues. If it passes, you'll start seeing changes within 6 months to a year. The appraisal rules will change quickly, environmental review changes will take longer to implement, but overall, I think it'll move pretty quickly. The manufactured housing stuff could be game changing for affordable housing, but everything's gonna kind of move at its own pace, but it's not gonna take forever. 6 months to a year is what I think. So, for real estate investors, this creates opportunities. Modular housing projects that were impossible to finance before might become viable. Small dollar properties that lenders avoided might become attractive again because they could throw money at it. The bigger story here is that both parties finally realize we have a housing crisis that requires real solutions. This bill's just the beginning. I expect to see more housing legislation over the next few years because the political pressure is too strong to ignore. So you need to stay informed about these changes, whether you're a buyer, an investor, a lender, a developer. All of this affects you, right? It affects everybody in the food cycle, if you will. So you have to understand how these new rules are going to affect your plans. You want to work with professionals who know how to navigate changing regulations. You understand the housing market is constantly evolving. The winners are the ones who watch videos like this and adapt to new opportunities instead of waiting for the perfect time to buy, because let me tell you something, there's never a perfect time to buy. If there was, everyone would buy and then the prices would go crazy. So you have to be decisive in a moment of difficulty. That's when really people make the most money. This bill is a step in the right direction. I feel like for the first time in years, the government is actually trying to make housing more accessible instead of just more regulated, which is what's been killing us. What do you guys think? Are you optimistic about these changes? Have you been affected by any of the problems this bill addresses? Let me know in the comments. If you want to stay ahead of changes like this that could affect your real estate plans, subscribe to my channel. I'm always talking about good stuff. I'm always reading the news. I'm always up to date on what's going on. And as soon as I hear stuff, I am regurgitating it back to you with my thoughts, my feedback. It's going from me to you as quickly as it happens. So stay tuned to this channel and I'll see you in the next video.